What if the most accurate compass for your life can't be seen, only noticed? Today you'll learn 7 synchronicity signs that don't just feel magical. They help you choose the next right step. We'll separate real signals from wishful thinking, and I'll give you a 40-second practice you can do right now. By the end, you'll have a simple checklist to confirm, yes, I'm on my path today. Ready to tune your inner radio? Let's begin. Imagine you're walking beside a river at dawn. The surface looks still, but just below it, the current is moving with quiet force. Synchronicity is that current. You don't command it. You sense it, and when you do, your steps become simpler. Here's our working definition, grounded and usable. A synchronicity is a meaningful pattern that intersects with your present intention and produces a clear, timely nudge toward action. Not every coincidence qualifies. Not every goosebump is a green light. Helpful? Good, because clarity is our north. 2 traps steal the value of signs. The first is everything is a sign, where we outsource responsibility to random flickers. The second is nothing is a sign, a hard-shell skepticism that keeps us frozen. We're going to walk the middle path, curious, not credulous. Grounded, not grim. Question for you. If a pattern repeated 3 times this week around the same decision, would you notice it or dismiss it as noise? Most of us never created a rule for noticing. Today, you will. Here's the central metaphor. We'll use your intention is the dial. Patterns are stations. Action is the speaker. If you don't set the dial, you'll pick up static. That's why the first step isn't hunting for signs. It's naming the question you're actually living. Keep it tight. 1 sentence, present tense, behavior-based. I'm choosing whether to accept the new role. I'm committing to daily writing for 20 minutes. You feel the difference? It gives the river a bank. Now, criteria. For the rest of this video, we'll apply 3 simple tests to each sign. 1. Relevance. Does it connect directly to your stated intention? 2. Timing. Did it arrive within a meaningful window of decision? 3. Convergence. Did 2 or more independent cues point the same way? When a moment meets these tests, we'll call it a live signal. Let me seed an expectation breaker. Real synchronicity rarely asks for grand leaps. It asks for the next honest inch. Radical progress is often a series of humble alignments. The path feels quieter than you think. Mini-practice. 40 seconds. Do it with me now. Sit tall. Inhale through your nose for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Again. As you breathe, name your current intention in 1 sentence out loud if you can. On the next exhale, ask, show me what's mine to do today. Now, open your eyes and pick a capture method. Notes app, small card, or a sticky. Write the sentence. Put it where you'll see it in the next hour. That's your dial set. 1 more reframing before we meet sign 1. Your body is a sensor. After a true signal and a small aligned action, you'll often feel a specific lift, clearer breath, a subtle drop in shoulder tension, a softer focus behind the eyes. This isn't mysticism. It's feedback. We'll use it. If you're already feeling a tiny shift, comment 1 word you're calling in today. Aligned. And if this kind of grounded mysticism serves you, subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. Back to the river. You know the moment. You glance at your phone, and it's 11:11 again. Or receipts, license plates, flight gates keep flashing the same sequence. On their own, numbers are just numbers. With context, they can become a clean nudge. The difference lies in the bridge between what you're choosing and when the pattern appears. Start here. Name the intention you set in chapter 1, exactly as you wrote it. Now pair it with an intent anchor, a single verb that captures your next micro move. Apply. Call, draft, book, decline, rest. Keep it tangible. I'm deciding whether to accept the new role. becomes call. I'm committing to daily writing becomes draft. Why this matters? When a repeating number shows up near the moment of that verb, it passes our relevance test. Timing next. Numbers that matter cluster around decisions. If you've been avoiding sending, the email and your screen lights up 111 just as you finally open the draft. Pay attention. If you see 1111 randomly 5 times while scrolling memes, that's noise. Give your signs a fair chance to be helpful. Tie them to thresholds. Doors you cross, buttons you click, phrases you say. Ask yourself, did the pattern arrive inside a meaningful decision window? If yes, that's timing. Convergence seals it. You don't need fireworks. You need 2 independent cues pointing the same way. Example, you're weighing a move to Austin. At 10:10, you step into a coffee shop with a mural of the city's skyline, and the barista calls out order number 1010 as your realtor texts a new listing on 1010 River Street. The number repeats, the place appears, the action window opens. That's a live signal. Relevance, timing, convergence. Here's a quick field practice to make this practical today. Pick one 24-hour window. Choose a single verb for your intention. Write it on a sticky. Verb plus today. Call today. Draft today. For the next day, do 2 things. First, notice repeating numbers only when you're within 10 minutes of doing or resisting that verb. Second, capture each instance in 3 lines. Time, context, micro-step taken, or avoided. That's it. You're not chasing numbers. You're listening for alignment around a threshold. Let's ground it with 2 stories. Maya is considering pitching her idea to a former boss. She sets the anchor send. All morning she hesitates. At 1:11, her phone buzzes a calendar reminder she forgot she set. Draft pitch. She smiles, opens her notes, and writes the first paragraph. Energy lifts, shoulders drop. That's feedback. Later, at 3:33, she's about to bail on sending it. Her music app autoplays track 33, titled Go, Convergence. She hits send. Whether the boss says yes or no, that day, Maya was on her path. Second story, the trap. Leo decides that every time he sees 777, the universe owes him a green light. He starts scanning constantly, screenshotting clocks, stretching meanings to fit. His action stalls. His anxiety rises. That's apophenia forcing patterns. The antidote? Baseline and compare. For 48 hours, don't set any intention. Notice how often repeating numbers appear without context. Then set a single verb for the next 48 hours and track only near thresholds. If the signal-to-noise ratio rises, you've got something real. If it doesn't, release it and choose a different cue. Here's a crisp. If then, you can steal. If a repeating number appears within 10 minutes of my chosen verb, then I take the smallest related step that can be completed in under 5 minutes, not the whole task the first inch. Click Compose. Title the document. Save the calendar placeholder. Why so small? Because synchronicity isn't a permission slip for perfection. It's a prompt for momentum. The river moves when you move. Notice your body as a second validator. After the micro step, do you feel a gentle clarity, a loosened jaw, a quiet yes behind the sternum? That somatic shift matters more than the number itself. Ask, did action reduce noise inside me? If yes, that's your confirmation. If no, don't force it. Wait for convergence or refine your verb. What about seeing negative numbers like 404,000 as you're about to act? Treat them as a request to check the basics. Is the address right? The file saved? The message clear? Sometimes a pattern protects you by slowing you one notch, not stopping you. Remember our rule. Obstacles that redirect belong to Chapter 4. For now, we're simply letting numbers sharpen awareness, not dictate fate. A final reframe. You're not being sent numbers by an external scoreboard. You're in dialogue with a living context. When your intention is precise, your environment reflects it more coherently. That's why ambiguity breeds mixed signals. Tighten the verb, and patterns tidy themselves. Quick recap you can screenshot. Choose one verb. Watch only near thresholds. Log time context micro-step. Look for 2 cues, not 1. Feel for the lift after action. If the pattern doesn't help you move an inch today, it's decoration, not direction, ready to test a richer form of timing where names and places line up with doors you didn't know existed. In the next chapter, we'll explore the social side of synchronicity. The moment a name you've been whispering shows up twice in one day, and a new invitation lands exactly on cue. You whisper a name in your head during breakfast, and by lunch, their email lands in your inbox. You see the city you've been debating stamped on a stranger's tote bag, then hear it again on a podcast you didn't plan to play. When names and places cluster around a decision, pay attention, not because fate is forcing you, but because the path may be surfacing. Here's the simple rule: 2 taps plus a window. A tap is an unsolicited mention that intersects your current intention. 2 taps are independent, not both from your own search. The window is a live opportunity to take a next step within 24 to 72 hours. If you get 2 taps and a clear window, you move 1 inch. Not a leap of text, a 10-minute research sprint, a calendar placeholder. Let's make this practical. You're wondering whether to pitch Alex for a collaboration. You don't Google them. Still, on Monday, your friend mentions Alex in passing while recapping a panel. That's tap 1. Tuesday, a newsletter you forgot you subscribed to features Alex's new project. Tap 2. Same day, you notice a speaker call for a summit Alex curates deadline Friday. That's the window. You don't overthink it. You send a 5-line note. Context, value, ask, time box, thank you. Result aside, that micro-move aligns you with your intention. That's a live signal. Relevance test. Does the name or place directly touch your stated intention? If your intention is publish my essay, but the name that repeats is an old classmate famous for hiking deer, the link is thin, unless they edit the magazine you want to pitch. Timing test. Did the taps cluster near a real decision? If both mentions were months apart, you're looking at nostalgia, not navigation. Convergence test. Do the taps point to the same next action? If one tap says apply and the other says prepare, you can combine them into draft application today. If the taps conflict, slow down and seek a third cue, a field. Check you can run this week. Create a 2-tap log in your notes. Columns. Name place, tap 1, source plus timestamp, tap 2, source plus timestamp. Window. What opportunity exists now? Micro-action taken is less than or equal to 5 minutes. You're not grading the universe. You're building a record of aligned choices. In 3 days, patterns emerge. Where and which windows actually move your life? Here's a crisp if-then. If a name or place surfaces twice from independent sources within 72 hours, and there's a concrete opportunity attached, then I take a 5-minute step that respects consent and clarity. Respect is key. A sign isn't a license to bulldoze. If the action involves someone else, lead with context and permission. Saw your project mentioned twice this week, and it sparked an idea open to a 10-minute chat next week? If not, zero pressure. 2 quick stories. First, the green light. Priya's intention. I'm ready to host a small retreat this fall. She's torn between 2 locations. On Wednesday, a client casually raves about a lakeside venue in Asheville. That night, a random playlist serves a track titled Asheville. Tap 2. Thursday morning. She finds an email from the venue offering shoulder season. Rates if booked by Monday. Window. She sends a 3-question inquiry and pencils a date on her calendar. Somatically, she feels the chest widen, breathing deepen. No fireworks, just a steady yes. Months later, the retreat sells out. What mattered wasn't prediction. It was momentum aligned with a timely pattern. Second, the trap, the reunion mirage. Don keeps seeing his college town in headlines and old photos resurfacing. He assumes it's a sign to move back. He ignores that his current intention is actually stabilize finances and that every tap came from his own late night. Scrolling. No independence, no window, no relevance. He visits on impulse, burns savings, returns stressed. The fix would have been the independence test. Did the taps arrive without me chasing them? And the window test, was there a concrete opportunity or just nostalgia? Your body again becomes the tiebreaker. After the micro-action, scan for the quiet markers. The jaw softens, breath unwinds, attention widens. That felt sense is cheap. Data and often more honest than your inner narrator. If you act and feel buzzy, contracted, or suddenly desperate, pause. Perhaps the taps were real, but the window wasn't yet open. Ask for one more cue, then step. A quick template you can steal. For outreach when a name repeats. Hey, name. Your work came up twice for me, this week once via source, then via source. I'm exploring your intention in one line. If it's helpful, I can offer value and would love to specific ask 10 minutes next week. If not a fit, all good. Clarity, value, boundary. No cosmic pressure. What about places? Treat them like partners, not prizes. If a city's name repeats twice in a weekend and a cheap flight appears, consider a reconnaissance day. Walk the neighborhoods that match your values. Talk to one local journal on cost of living versus opportunity. If the signals are real, they'll compound on the ground. If they fade, you've lost a day, not a year. Movement reveals more signal. One more safeguard. Beware the echo chamber. If both taps came from the same friend group or algorithm, you don't have two taps. You have one amplified. Seek diversity of source. A barista, a billboard, a book spying in a thrift store, that's independence. The wilder the variety, the stronger the convergence. Recap you can jot down. 2 taps, independent. A 24 to 72 hour window. 1 5-minute move. Somatic check after. Adjust if contraction spikes. Treat people with consent. Treat places with curiosity. Your life gains texture when you act where patterns touch your actual calendar. Ready for a different kind of signal. The moment a closed door doesn't stop you, but swivels you toward the right hallway. In the next chapter, we'll look at obstacles that redirect, not block. A door closes, not a slam more like a firm, quiet click. Do you read it as stop or as turn here? The difference saves months. Think of travel apps. When a road is closed, your map doesn't scold you. It reroutes. Synchronicity often behaves the same way. An obstacle isn't a moral verdict. It's information about path shape. Start with the 3 Ds. Delay, denial, detour. Delay means not yet. Denial means not this way. Detour means same destination, new corridor. Which one are you facing right now? Name it out loud. Your nervous system calms when the unknown gets a label. Here's the 72-hour test that keeps you from flinching or forcing. When it's significant, block appears, site crashes, meeting canceled, funding vanishes. Do not quit and do not bulldoze for 72 hours. Instead, switch from force to listening. In that window, do 3 adjacent actions that keep momentum without pushing the jammed. Door. Adjacent actions are next to the target, not through it. Refine the one-page brief. Practice the pitch aloud. Map 3 alternate contacts. Research timelines. Book a microvisit. If the original door quietly reopens within those 72 hours, you walk. If it doesn't, you follow the detour that emerged from your adjacent actions. Why this works? Obstacles compress your attention. Without a rule, compression becomes panic. With a rule, compression becomes signal. Ask, what's the smallest true step that honors the outcome without relying on this blocked route? That question is a compass dot. Let me give you a clean if-then. You can steal. If a door closes once, then I pause, breathe, and take 3 adjacent actions within 72 hours. If the same door closes twice in that window, I stop pushing and pivot to the clearest adjacent corridor. Not because the universe said no, but because the river turned and the water's quieter over here. 2 stories to make this real. First, the reroute that revealed the opening. Elena applies for a fellowship. Portal error. Deadline in 6 hours. Old Elena would refresh endlessly, sweating and swearing. New Elena uses the 72-hour rule. Adjacent action 1. She writes a crisp 150-word summary of her project. 2. She records a 45-second voice note explaining why it matters. 3. She messages a previous fellow. Portal down. Is there an alternate submission address? The fellow replies with the program manager's email. Elena sends the summary and voice note, respectfully. The portal eventually returns, but the manager already knows her name and asks a sharper question that strengthens her application. The obstacle wasn't a stop. It was a handshake second, the trap of premature meaning. Marcus launches a newsletter. First send, broken link. He decides it's a sign and quits for a month. That's not mysticism. That's avoidance cloaked as spirituality. The fix would have been simple. Adjacent actions and a clean follow-up with the correct link. And a one-line apology. Set up a test list. Schedule next week's edition now. Detour executed. Momentum protected. How do you tell a true detour from a seductive distraction? Use the 3 tests we set in Chapter 1. Relevance. Does the detour still serve the original? Intention. If your intention is ship a prototype by October, switching industries isn't a detour. It's an escape. Timing. Does the alternative path open within the 72-hour window with minimal friction? Convergence. Do 2 independent cues favor the new corridor, an unexpected intro, and a ready resource, for example? 2 taps plus a window works here too. Let's put this in your hands with a 40-second micro-protocol FAST feel. Ask scan, take 1 inch. Feel. Drop your shoulders. Exhale twice. Notice where your body clenches around the block. Ask, delay, denial, or detour? Say it. Scan. Look for 2 adjacent steps that don't require the jammed door. What can be done in under 5 minutes? Take 1 inch. Do it now. Send the availability link. Rename the file logically. Draft the first 3 bullet points. Small, boring, powerful. Another question worth taping to your monitor. What is the outcome I care about? Independent of this method? Outcome. Launch a helpful tool. Method. This vendor's API. If the API fails, the outcome still stands. A different vendor, a manual beta, or a lo-fi waitlist might be the detour. Your somatic data is again the tiebreaker. After the adjacent step, do you feel more space behind the eyes? Does your breath deepen by a millimeter? That's a live signal. If you feel frantic or brittle, you might be forcing. Step back. Ask for 1 more cue, then move. Guardrails against. Self-sabotage. Don't turn the 72-hour test into eternal limbo. The clock is real. Set it. Also, don't collect obstacles like trophies to justify inaction. 1 clear closed door is enough to pivot for now. You can revisit in 2 weeks with fresh eyes. A quick template for communicating a graceful detour when others are involved. The original route just hit a snag, X. Rather than stall, I'll do Y and Z in the next 48 hours to keep momentum. And I'll revisit Route X on date. If you see an alternate entry point, I'm open. Calm, specific, time-boxed. People trust leaders who reroute without drama. One more perspective shift to carry forward. A block often protects the integrity of your timing. The collab that falls through frees room for the partner who actually aligns. A venue that cancels pushes you toward the space your community can reach. You won't always see the payoff on day one. You will feel the difference in your nervous system when you act in integrity with the outcome, not with a single brittle plan. If this reframing gave you a breath of relief, comment one word: detour. It tells me this work serves you, and it helps this video reach the people who need it. Recap in one breath: door closes. Label it delay, denial, or detour. 72 hours of adjacent action. Relevance, timing, convergence. Decide the pivot. Use FAST to move one honest inch. Feel for the quiet yes after. That's your confirmation. You're still on the path, just on the smarter road. You don't search, yet the answer arrives. A sentence on a billboard that completes your thought. A line in a book you opened to kill time. A short video that says the exact phrase you needed in the exact hour you needed it. When guidance shows up without you hunting, listen not because it's mystical, but because your environment is mirroring a live question. Let's define it cleanly. An unasked answer is a specific, useful response to the intention you set, delivered by a source you didn't deliberately seek, inside a short window where a choice is on the table. Specific, unsolicited, timely. Vague inspiration doesn't count. Believe in yourself is a poster. Email Marta before 5 p.m. is a nudge. Start with hygiene. If your inputs are a fire hose, everything can look like a sign. For the next 24 hours, reduce noise by 20%. Unfollow the loudest 3 accounts. Mute 1 chaos chat. Close autoplay. Create a short list of clean sources. A shelf of 5 books you already trust. A long-form podcast. 1 newsletter with Signal. You're not limiting serendipity. You're lowering static so the answer stands out when it lands. Can you feel the spaciousness already? Now the 3 tests again. Relevance. Does the phrase or idea precisely touch your stated intention? If your intention is, decide whether to take the evening class, and the line you hear is, depth, beats dabbling, pick one. That's relevant. Timing. Did it arrive in the same day or hour you are actually choosing? Convergence. Do you get a second independent echo, another line, another scene, another source pointing the same way within 24 to 72 hours? 2 taps plus a window, even with answers you didn't ask for. Here's the 3-line capture protocol. It today, line 1. Intention in 1 sentence, present tense, behavior-based. Line 2. Source plus exact words. Quote the phrase, not your interpretation. Line 3. Microaction plus time box is less than or equal to 5 minutes, with a deadline. Example. I'm deciding whether to apply for the grant. Subway ad, draft before you doubt. Write the first 100 words by 3:30 p.m. That's your bridge. From meaning to movement. Let's put this to work with 2 vignettes. First, the clean hit. Aina is weighing a simple but scary action. Asking her manager for a 4-day schedule. She hasn't told anyone. It's just a sentence in her notes. On lunch break, she flips open a book in a co-working space random page. Ask for the shape of life you can sustain. That afternoon, a podcast cues itself. She hadn't hit play. Frame your ask as a pilot. 2 sources, same day. She writes, pilot request, 6 weeks, measured by output XY. She emails a 3-line proposal by 4 p.m. Her body? Exhale. Lengthens. Shoulders drop. That's confirmation. Even if the answer had been not yet, the action honored the live signal. Second, the trap. Jason wants a reason to postpone his project. He's doom scrolling at midnight and lands on a thread that says, wait for perfect timing. He crowns it a sign and goes to bed smug and safe. But he'd been actively searching for permission to delay. The source wasn't clean. The timing was avoidance, not decision. The fix is the independence check. Did the answer arrive without me fishing for it? If no, it might still be useful, but it's not an unasked answer. Label it accordingly. A practical ritual that takes 1 minute. The page turn. Choose one book from your clean shelf. Hold your intention in mind. Without flipping around, open to one page. Read a single paragraph slowly. You're not fortune-telling. You're noticing which sentence hooks your nervous system. If a line rings with relevance, write it in the 3-line protocol and take a 5-minute step. If nothing lands, close the book. No forcing. You'll try again tomorrow. Got another channel. Overheard snippets. You're standing in line. Someone says, send it before you talk yourself out. You smile, because that was your morning's wrestling match. Independence? Check. Timing? You're 10 minutes from your desk. Convergence? You glance up at the cafe chalkboard. Do it now. Adjust later. That's 2 taps. Microaction. Paste the draft into an email and save as scheduled send for 5 p.m. You don't change the world. You change your day. If then you can steal. If a specific phrase that answers my current intention appears from a source I didn't seek, and a second independent echo arrives within 72 hours, then I will take a 5-minute step before the day ends. If no echo arrives, I treat it as inspiration, not instruction, and move on. This protects you from overfitting your life to one poetic line. How do you keep this grounded? Measure. For a week, track each unasked answer with the 3-line protocol. At week's end, review. Which sources produced clarity? Which actions produced an energy lift within minutes? Which didn't? Keep what works. Retire what doesn't. Serendipity respects iteration. Somatic tiebreaker again. After you act on an unasked answer, scan the body. Is there a quiet click of rightness jaw softening, breath deeper, attention widening? That's useful. If instead you feel a spike of anxiety or a contraction in the gut, consider that you may have grabbed a clever sentence to mask a fear. No shame. Adjust. Ask for one more cue. Sleep on it. Real alignment doesn't bully your system. One last safeguard. Beware the quote dealer. That's the friend or feed that delivers a new aphorism daily. Beautiful words can hypnotize you into a loop where you collect instead of convert. Put a cap on consumption. One quote, one action. No next quote until you take the step. Boring? Yes. Effective? Also yes. Recap you can jot down. Specific greater than vague. Unsolicited greater than hunted. Timely window. 3-line capture. 2 taps before action if risk is high. 1 tap is enough for tiny steps. Measure what lifts energy. Retire what muddies it. You're not decoding destiny. You're participating in a dialogue with your day. There's a distinct feeling when you take the right tiny step. Not hype, not a sugar rush. More like a window cracking open and fresh air slipping in. That's the energy lift after micro-action, and it's one of the cleanest confirmations. You're on your path today. Let's define it with precision. A micro-action is a step you can complete in under 5 minutes that directly advances your stated intention. The signal is the shift you feel within 3 minutes after doing it. Clearer breath, quieter mind, steadier posture, warmer focus. Not louder, steadier. Can you picture that difference? Here's why this matters. Most people wait to feel motivated before acting. In aligned work, action often precedes feeling. You move one honest inch, then your system updates. Oh, we're doing the thing. The lift isn't random dopamine. It's coherence returning to the body. Do you need fireworks? No. You need a notch of relief. Start with a baseline so you don't fool yourself. Before the microaction, rate 3 markers from 1 to 10. Mental. Fog, body tension, avoidance urge. Do it quickly, no overthinking. Then take one step that touches your intention directly. Afterward, re-rate the same markers. Did fog drop by even 1 point? Did tension release a notch? Did the urge to avoid soften? That delta is your signal. Let's make it practical with the SEE loop set, execute, examine. Set, name the smallest. Step that leaves a visible trace subject line written, calendar invite sent, file named, and saved, paragraph drafted. Execute. 5 minutes max, no side quests. Examine. Scan breath, jaw, and gaze for 20 seconds. Jot the 3 numbers again. If the numbers improve and your breath deepens, you've got a live signal. If not, no drama, you just learned that step was off by a degree. Adjust and try a neighboring inch. 2 quick stories. First, the quiet yes. Rena's intention is simple. Publish 1 helpful article this month. She keeps stalling on the outline. Micro action. Write 3 subheads, nothing more. 4 minutes. Later, she notices her shoulders drop and her thoughts line up like train cars. Fog from 6 to 4. Tension from 7 to 5. Avoidance from 8 to 4. That's the lift. Not because the universe graded her, because her action matched her intentions. Scale. She didn't conquer a mountain. She placed a solid stone. Second, the useful no. Omar's intention. Decide whether to take a weekend gig. Microaction. Reply yes on impulse to stop the discomfort. After hitting send, his breath shortens and his jaw locks. Fog spikes. Avoidance urge returns, now about telling the truth. That's not a lift, it's contraction. He realizes the steps served anxiety, not intention. He follows our 72-hour wisdom from Chapter 4, sends a graceful pause email, and asks for 24 hours. Next microaction. Jot his non-negotiables and true reasons. This time, his chest softens. Lift restored. Data, not trauma. Guardrail time, distinguish. Alignment lift from novelty buzz. Caffeine, new apps. Shopping carts, those can spike energy but fragment focus. Alignment lift is quieter and specific. It reduces inner noise and increases willingness to continue. Ask, do I feel more available to the next honest inch? If yes, that's your signal. If you want to celebrate by opening 5 new tabs, that's novelty. Here's an if-then worth taping to your desk. If a 5-minute step reduces fog, tension, or avoidance by at least 1 point, then I schedule the next 5-minute step within the same hour. No momentum gaps. If the numbers don't improve, I don't force it. I pivot to an adjacent step or refine my intention sentence. You can also stack the lift for compounding. Try the 3-5. 3 microactions, 5 minutes each, separated by 1 minute of breathing and a sip of water. After each, rescore your markers. You're building a staircase of tiny confirmations, not waiting for a perfect elevator that never arrives. By the end of 17 minutes, most people experience a tangible shift from static to flow. Want to test it today? Somatic cues will keep you honest. After a true fit step, many people feel their eyes widen slightly while the forehead relaxes. Vision untunnels, shoulders settle, breath lengthens by half a count. If you sense that, mark it literally right lift next to the step. You're training your nervous system to recognize alignment the way climbers Learn to read rock texture with their fingertips. A quick field exercise for the next 24 hours. Make a lift ledger. 2 columns. Action is less than or equal to 5 minutes. And effect. Fog, tension, avoidance scores, +1 somatic note. Aim for 5 entries. Keep it boring. Name the file sanely. Send 1 concise DM. Create a calendar box for your practice. Draft an opening sentence. Each time, check your 3 numbers and 1 body note. At day's end, circle the 2 steps that produced the biggest lift. Those are your keystone inches. Repeat them tomorrow. What if nothing creates lift? 2 possibilities. 1. Your intention is too vague. Tighten it to a behavior. Write 150 words, not be creative. 2. The step is too big. Shrink it until completion is trivial. Title the doc. Paste the outline. Attach the file. You're not lowering standards. You're increasing traction. Momentum grows from contact. Remember our integration model from earlier chapters. Relevance, timing, convergence. The energy lift is your timing validator. If you take the step during a live window and feel the lift, you've converged with your day. If the lift appears twice around the same type of step across a week, you've found a reliable microlever. Build around it. 1 more template to lock this in. The next honest inch card. Write 3 lines on a sticky and keep it visible. Intention, 1 sentence. Next inch is less than or equal to 5 minutes. Measure, fog, tension, avoidance plus somatic note. When the card is full, replace it. This keeps your life tactile, less abstract chatter, more grounded movement. If you felt even a 1-point shift reading this, comment 1 word. Shift. And if these practical signals are helping you navigate with less noise, subscribe so this work keeps meeting you on the day you need it. Recap in a breath. Act first, feel next. Measure the lift with 3 quick markers. Prefer steady clarity over flashy buzz. If a micro-step lightens your system, schedule the next inch inside the hour. If it tightens, pivot without shame. Your path today is the series of small alignments your body quietly confirms. You're wrestling with the next step when help arrives out of nowhere. A stranger forwards a contact. A colleague offers a tool you didn't know existed. Your neighbor mentions a resource that solves the exact bottleneck you named yesterday. It feels like the road leaning toward you. But here's the rule that keeps you grounded and safe. Wait for the second angel dot. The second angel rule is simple. Accept interest. Confirm with independence. When unexpected help appears once, you acknowledge it. When it appears a second time, from an unconnected source within 72 hours to 7 days, aligned with your intention, you move 1 honest inch. Not because you're superstitious, but because patterns beat wishful thinking. 2 independent offers reduce noise and reveal direction. Start with clarity. Name your intention in 1 line and your constraint in 1 word. Ship a beta by October. Constraint, backend. This focuses the type of help that counts. Relevance test. Does the help directly address the constraint? Timing test. Did it show up while the choice is alive this week? Convergence test. Do. 2 helpers point to the same next inch. Try this library. Email this person. Book this room? Not just the same vibe? If yes, that's a live signal. Let's make it concrete with the help triangle: care, competence, consent. Care. Is the offer relationally clean, not coercive? Competence. Can this person tool actually solve the piece you named? Consent. Do both sides understand boundaries, timelines, and scope? A green light on all 3 doesn't guarantee perfection. It gives you a safe runway. A field practice you can run today. Create a second angel ledger. 4 columns offer: source, date, time. Next inch. When the first unexpected help lands, log it, but don't overhaul your plan. When the second independent help arrives, pointing to the same inch, you take a 5-minute action. Send the intro email. Schedule the 10-minute scoping call. Install the trial. Reserve the slot. You're converting coincidence into measurable. Movement. 2 stories to feel the texture. First, the clean convergence. Lila's intention. Record a simple guided audio this month. Constraint. Sound quality. Monday, a client casually says, "I've got a spare mic you can borrow." She smiles, logs it. Wednesday, her neighbor mentions a quiet studio that rents by the hour, exactly 3 blocks away. 2 angels. Window. Weekend is open. Next inch. She books 1 hour, borrows the mic, and records a scrappy first take. Afterward, her breath settles and focus warms. That's the lift we learned to notice in Chapter 6, Confirmation from the Body. Not a hype spike. Second, the trap strings disguised as wings. Kai wants mentorship. A helper offers introductions, but the price is vague favors and constant. Availability. Red flags. Low care, pressure, fuzzy consent, no boundaries, and competence that's mostly performance. 2 angels don't always mean go if both are from the same echo chamber or carry the same sticky terms. Independence matters. Diversity of source matters. Your nervous system matters. After a call with this helper, Kai's jaw locks and breath shortens. That's contraction, not alignment. He thanks them, clarifies scope in writing, or declines. Not all help is help. How do you keep generosity from turning into debt? Use the 1-pager of terms. Before you accept substantial help, write a 5 to 7-line summary. Purpose, your responsibilities, their responsibilities, timeline, deliverables, exit clause. Send it with gratitude to keep us clean and efficient. Here's the tiny scope. Real helpers love clarity. Opportunists resist it. That reaction is your signal. Here's an if-then to post above your desk. If unexpected help arrives twice from independent sources pointing to the same next inch, and the help triangle is green, and I accept the smallest viable version within a week. Smallest viable version means a pilot, not a promise. 10 minutes, not 10 months. You protect future you from commitments born in a dopamine fog. Let's talk money for a beat. Free isn't automatically good. Paid isn't automatically suspect. Align the exchange with your values. A fair small fee for a high-leverage solution may be more ethical than a free favor that accrues invisible interest. Ask, is this price clear and sustainable for both of us? If yes, call it by its name, professional help, and proceed. If the price is your self-trust or weekends for a year, the cost is too high. Somatic, check again. After you say yes to the smallest viable version, scan your body for 3 markers. Does your breath lengthen? Does your gaze widen? Do your shoulders settle? That quiet settling is the felt sense of being carried by the current. If instead you feel buzzy, tunnel-visioned, or immediately start rehearsing excuses, slow down. Ask for one more cue. Remember, real alignment doesn't demand you override your nervous system. A 40-second micro-practice to run the moment help appears. Pause. Inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. Whisper. Care? Competence? Consent? Rate each 1 to 10. If any score is less than or equal to 6, downgrade this to maybe and ask one clarifying question before you act. What does success look like for you? What's the time boundary? What do you need from me before we begin? One honest question can save weeks. Also, notice directionality. True help often removes friction at the precise seam you named access, context, or tool. If the offer expands scope wildly, let's build a brand new platform and go viral. That's likely fantasy dressed as support. Shrink it to the inch. Could we test your tool on 1 page? Would you introduce me to just 1 person? Real helpers appreciate the reduction. Vampires prefer vagueness. Another safeguard: don't outsource your barometer. The second, angel confirms path, not worth. If the help doesn't land, you're not abandoned. You're being guided toward building the inch yourself today. Ask, what part of this can I do solo in 5 minutes? You often discover that accepting is easier once you've moved 1 inch under your own power. Let's close this sign with a quiet challenge. For the next 7 days, carry your intention sentence on a sticky or your lock screen. Each time help appears, run the help triangle and log it. If 2 independent offers converge, accept a tiny pilot within the week and measure the lift afterward. If they don't, bless the kindness and keep your momentum with micro-actions. You're not waiting passively. You're walking with your eyes open. Recap in 1 breath. Unlikely help shows up. You wait for the second angel. Relevance, timing, convergence keep you honest. Care, competence, consent filters the offer. Say yes to the smallest viable version. Put terms in writing. Trust your body's quiet yes. This is how generosity becomes guidance, not confusion. City sounds, swarm sirens, chatter, pings, and somewhere inside you, a soft door closes. Not out of fear, out of knowing. That is calm certainty. A steady, grounded yes or no that doesn't need a speech to justify itself. It doesn't spike your system. It quiets it. And it's one of the most reliable confirmations. You're on your path today. Let's define it cleanly so you can recognize it in the wild. Calm certainty is a body-based clarity that remains stable across contexts. It survives 3 small tests: friction, a dose of reality, time, 1 sleep, and noise, other people's opinions. If it's still there after those, you're probably pointed true. First, a distinction that saves you from self-deception. Calm does not equal numb. Numb is a dimmer switch on your aliveness collapsed posture, shallow breath, fridge stare eyes. Calm is wakeful, a wider gaze, even breath, shoulders quietly settling. Calm does not equal relief from avoidance. Relief blurs edges. Finally, I don't have to think about it. Calm sharpens edges. I know the next inch, and I'm okay with it. Calm does not equal obedience. People-pleasing creates a quiet that feels brittle. True calm is pressure-proof. It doesn't require another person's face to stay intact. Here's a 30-second test you can run anywhere. The quiet yes. Cue question. Name your live intention in 1 sentence. You untunnel. Soften your eyes. Expand your peripheral vision. By an inch, I inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. E, evidence scan, jaw softening, chest ungripping, mind sentence shortening. T, tiny step. Imagine 1 5-minute move and notice whether your breath stays even. If your breath tightens at the imagined step, that's not calm. That's choreography for avoidance. If it stays even or lengthens, you've likely found alignment. Now the friction test. Bring in a small dose of reality, calendar, costs, logistics. Not to crush the idea, to calibrate it. Say your calm points toward accept the offer. You check the commute, the childcare, the budget. If the calm remains after those numbers, that's meaningful. If it collapses into defensiveness or magical thinking, pause. You might be holding a pretty wish, not a grounded yes. Time test next. Sleep on it once. Real calm tends to deepen by morning. Counterfeit calm degrades into buzz, guilt, or a need to convince. Notice your first breath on waking. Do you feel the same gentle okayness? That's signal. Noise test last. Share your direction with 1 trusted, non-dramatic friend. Ask for questions, not verdicts. If calm survives being questioned, if you can say, I hear you, without performing or bracing, That's a strong marker. If calm only survives in secret, check if you're protecting a fragile fantasy. Let's add a simple if-then to anchor. This. If my sense of calm survives friction, calendar cost, one sleep, and one kind challenge, then I take the smallest step that expresses it within 24 hours. One email. One booking. One clear no. Alignment grows through expression, not rumination. Two quick vignettes. First, the steady no. Sienna receives a glamorous invite. High pay, big stage, terrible timing for her health. The first night, she wants to say yes. She runs quiet yes and imagines sending a grateful decline. Her breath lengthens. She checks logistics travel, recovery, existing commitments. Calm holds. She sleeps. Morning brings the same evenness. She shares with a friend who asks, "Are you afraid of disappointing them?" Sienna nods, and the calm remains. She writes a warm, boundary-clear decline with a future window. After sending, she feels the Chapter 6 lift-jaw softens. Focus warms. That's alignment. Second, the false calm. Matteo binges tutorials all weekend and decides, "I'm oddly calm about postponing my launch." He runs the friction test no. Calendar check. No promise to a single user, no sleep. He's wired. He imagines the smallest step emailing a wait list of 20 people, and his breath catches. That's not calm. That's sedation. He reframes, "I'm anxious." He takes 1 inch, writes the email subject line. Breath steadies. Now he has a real signal. Here's a micro practice that takes less than a minute. The 4 corners. Sit or stand. Corner 1, breath. 2 rounds of in 4, hold 2, out 6. Corner 2, vision. Widen gaze. Read 2 words on opposite sides of your field. Corner 3, posture. Stack head over heart over pelvis. Let the sternum float. Corner 4, intention. Say the next 5 minutes step out loud. If your system remains even across all 4 corners, proceed. If one corner collapses, adjust the step smaller or clarify the intention sentence. Guardrails that keep this honest. Beware. The monk costume, performing calm by disconnecting. If your calm requires you to mute your body or avoid eye contact, it's not certainty. It's escape. Also beware urgency disguised as calm. I'm totally chill. I just need to decide right now. Calm as room. If room disappears, you've slipped into fear. Another lens that helps. The decision diamond choose, defer, delegate, delete. Hold your intention in the center. If calm says, choose, pick and take a 5-minute step. If calm says, defer, set a real date and a real trigger. We visit after Q3 numbers on October 5th. If calm says delegate, name the person and send the ask with consent. If calm says delete, honor the grief, capture the lesson, and reclaim the time block. Certainty often points to a deletion with surprising tenderness. Let's talk. Somatic signatures. Many people report the same trio after a true calm decision. Eyes widen a touch. Back body engages subtly. You feel held, and breath descends lower into the ribs. Mentally, a long sentence shortens into 5 or 6 words. It's time to send it. Not this, not now. Write the sentence. That's your script for action.com. Certainty doesn't mean comfort. It just means clarity. You may still feel appropriately nervous. The test is whether the nervousness sits on a quiet foundation, not whether you can remove it entirely. If you can ask, "Am I willing?" and hear an unbullying yes, you're ready. Here's a 24-hour field exercise, the calm audit. 1 live decision. Run the 3 tests. Friction, time, noise. Log your somatic markers before and after each test. Then translate calm into 1 visible inch on your calendar today. If the calm vanishes, Don't punish yourself. You just found a wobble worth investigating. Shrink the inch or refine the intention until the breath steadies again. And if someone pushes back, that's silly, that's risky, that's not how we do things. Notice your internal posture. If calm is real, you may feel sad or stretched, but you won't feel scrambled. You don't need to convert them. You can say, I get it. I'm choosing this inch. That sentence is a quiet boundary and a declaration. If this landed, drop. One word in the comments. Calm. It helps the right people find this work. And if you want more grounded tools like this, subscribe so the next chapter meets you on the day you need it. Recap you can jot in a margin. Calm that survives friction. Time and noise is trustworthy. Use quiet yes to test it in 30 seconds. Translate certainty into a 5-minute expression within 24 hours. If calm collapses, it wasn't wrong, it was early or fogged. Adjust until your breath agrees. Picture a simple day. You wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, and breathe once on purpose. You say one clear sentence to yourself, out loud if you can. Today, I will take one small step toward underscore. You fill the blank with something concrete. Write, call, send, book, rest. One verb. That's your compass for the next hours. You write that sentence on a small card and keep it where you'll see it on your desk, beside the sink, on your phone's lock screen. You're not trying to control the day. You're just giving your attention a clean place to land. As morning starts, you notice thresholds, the tiny doors we cross all the time. The moment before you open your email, the second before you hit send, the pause before you walk into a room. Those are good places for signs to show up. If a repeating number appears near one of those thresholds and it connects to your verb, you don't make a big story. You take the first tiny step that fits inside 5 minutes. You title the document. You write the subject line. You put a 10-minute block on the calendar. You move 1 inch. Later, a name pops up twice from different places. A friend mentions a city you were debating. A podcast repeats it the same afternoon. There's a cheap ticket this weekend, or a short call you could book right now. 2 taps, and a real window. You choose a small move that respects people and time. Saw your project twice this week? Open to a 10-minute chat? Clear, kind, no pressure. You don't chase. You respond. Not everything flows. A door clicks shut. The meeting cancels. The tool crashes. Instead of quitting or forcing, you give yourself a rule. For 72 hours, you take 3 steps next to the block, not through it. You polish the 1-page brief. You try a second contact. You practice the pitch out loud. If the original door reopens, you walk through it calmly. If it doesn't, the side steps usually reveal a better hallway. At lunch, you don't hunt for answers. But if a clear line shows up uninvited and it fits your intention, a sentence on a page, a phrase in a video, words you overhear in a cafe, you write it down exactly as you heard it. You take a 5-minute action before the day ends. If a second echo arrives within a day or 2, you take another inch. If not, you let it be inspiration and keep moving. Mid-afternoon, you test for the quiet lift. Before a tiny action, you rate yourself quickly from 1 to 10. How foggy is my mind? How tense is my body? How strong is my urge to avoid? You do a 5-minute step. You rate again. If numbers drop even a little and your jaw softens, that's confirmation, not hype coherence. If numbers spike, you adjust the next step smaller or truer. No drama, just data. Sometimes help appears. Someone offers an intro. A neighbor suggests a tool. You smile and say thanks, but you wait for the second angel. If a second independent offer points to the same small move, and it feels clean, caring, competent, with clear boundaries, You accept the smallest version. A pilot call, a 1-hour test, a simple try. If the offer comes with pressure or foggy terms, you ask one honest question. What does success look like for you? Real helpers like clarity. If it still feels off, you pass dot as the afternoon ends. Noise rises messages, opinions, your own doubts. You test for the calm, yes. You widen your gaze by an inch. You breathe in for 4, hold 2, out for 6. You speak the next 5-minute. Step and watch your breath. If it stays steady, you proceed. If it tightens, you shrink the step or sleep on it. Calm survives friction, one night and one kind challenge. When it does, that's your green light. This is how a single day looks when you walk with the 7 signs. It's not flashy. It's kind, simple, and repeatable. And you can stretch this rhythm over a week without adding weight. On day 1, you set the dial. 1 sentence, 1 verb, 1 tiny step before noon. On day 2, you watch for numbers only at thresholds and let them nudge a 5-minute move, then notice your body after. On day 3, you listen for 2 taps on a name or a place. And if a real window opens, you take a respectful inch. On day 4, if a door shuts, you start your 72-hour reroute with 3 adjacent actions. On day 5, you lower input noise a little and allow 1 clean line to land and act once. On day 6, you run 3 5-minute steps with a minute of breathing between them and mark which one gave the biggest quiet lift. On day 7, you open to help and check for calm. If 2 clean offers align, you accept the smallest pilot and you let calm shape the next inch. 2 gentle guardrails keep you honest. First, don't force meaning. If a sign doesn't help you move a small step today, it's decoration, not direction. Enjoy it and keep going. Second, don't hand away your steering wheel. A signal is a guide, not a boss. Before you ask, pitch, or accept help, you do 1 tiny own power action you can complete alone in under 5 minutes. That anchors. You dot at night. You close the loop with 3 short lines. What pattern did I notice? What small step did I take? What changed in my body? If nothing shifted, that's useful too. Tomorrow, you make the step smaller or the sentence clearer. This is a conversation with your day, not a test you can fail. If you share life with others, family, friends, a team, speak this out loud. Say how you're deciding. I'm watching for 2 taps. I'll try a small pilot first. I'm waiting 1 sleep. When people understand your rhythm, your calm spreads. Plans get easier. Friction drops. And now, before this hour, turns you pick 1 inch, 1 email, 1 title line, 1 booking, 1 warm no. Do it gently. Then pause and listen inside your chest. Jaw softer, breath steadier, focus warmer. That's the river saying, yes, this way today.